I think I got it. Hello. Welcome to Code Youngstown's 4th annual Lightning Talk event. Thank you all for showing up. It's so weird to think it's been like 4 years, and I think we even missed a year because of the pandemic. So it's been 5 years since we've done our first one of these. Kind of crazy. So for those of you new to Code Youngstown, I am Joe Duncko. This is Nick Serra. We kind of co-run this thing. Code Youngstown is all of y'all. So thank you all for being here. We try to throw an event every other month. Every 6 months we try to do like a social, and every other month in between, or every other month besides those 6 months, we do like a tech talk event. And this is one of those. That's what you're at. So if you're not familiar with what lightning talks are, they are short form talks. We try to keep ours under 6 minutes. And we have six speakers lined up for you today. To keep everything as tight as possible, I'm going to actually have a timer running with an alarm that's very loud. And once you hit 6 minutes, we're going to pull you off, because otherwise this goes on forever. And we'll just kind of try to keep things rolling here. So we're going to go by the list on the meetup. So first up is Patrick Bollinger. Then I'm second, Chris third, Jeremy fourth, Nick's fifth, and then Mike Walker sixth here. I'm trying to remember, should I give more of a spiel, or should we talk about hiring and stuff?
Slack, planning, Westside Bowl.
So if you like what you see here, how you could participate in Code Youngstown. Primarily, we have a Slack group, a Slack chat group. You can join it by going to codeyoungstown.com and clicking the little Slack icon there, and you can just join, and we have almost 500 people in there, most of which are local tech professionals of all experience levels. We have people who are students, people who are hobbyists, to people who are 15, 20-year veterans. So please consider joining our Slack. Otherwise, you can join, we're on Meetup, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. So please follow us, like us, share us, all those kind of things. That really helps us out. If you really, really liked what we're doing here at Code Youngstown and you want to speak, if you maybe run a space locally and you can help us out by hosting us one day, that would be awesome. Or if you are inspired and want to run right now Code Youngstown is a very general, it's Code Youngstown, not Python Youngstown, JavaScript Youngstown. But if we are looking for people interested in running more specialized meetup. So if you're interested in running one of those, please let Nick and I know, and we are happy to support you in every way we know how. Just our max capacity is every other month talks and socials. One thing we like to do before I normally have a microphone to pass around, but before we start is talking about hiring, who's looking. So real quick, I am actually at Blast Point in Pittsburgh. We are hiring a DevOps engineer, as well as we'll be shortly hiring a designer, a UX designer, and a back-end developer. So we're hiring a bunch. Is anyone else hiring right now? Can you raise your hand? You're hiring?
Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah. What are you hiring for? Say again? I can't hear. No, tell. Embedded. Oh, they're hiring someone for embedded development. Nice. There we go. Thank you. I think that's at Tailored Alloys, right? Yep, at the YBI. So they're hiring someone for embedded. Yes, thank you. We were just talking. I think it's C++, and C, and Python. Anyone else hiring right now? Awesome. So if you're looking for an embedded developer gig, please go talk to him. Cool. So anything else I should cover before I get started? I guess shout out to Westside Bowl for hosting us. They do this. It's super appreciated that they give us this whole setup and this space. Please give a shout out to Westside Bowl. Thank you so much for having us. Please tip your bartender, tell Nate thank you, and tell our people running the show thank you. We couldn't do this without them. Am I forgetting anything else, Nick?
Nope, enjoy the show.
Okay, well, okay, without further ado, Pat is giving a talk on if you feel like you're a slow software engineer, it's not you. Give it up for Pat.
So hello everyone. If you feel like you're a slow software engineer, it's not you, probably. So hi, I'm Patrick Bollinger. Been engineering for a while now. I work at a startup, Untitled Chapter, that works on obesity treatment, and I think a lot about management. So warning, my talk may cause some people stress who's been in the industry for a while. But the topics I'm covering are why software development can feel slow and how you can help alleviate the external factors that might cause this feeling. And this can apply to not just software development, but really anything like design work or other things. So if programming was easy, we could just stream our thoughts to our computer and have it do what we want it to do. But it's not that easy. So we need to tell the computer what to do. But a lot of times, our thoughts are too complex to just, release it in one go. So we write documentation. We take that documentation as reference to then program the computer. But we're not working alone. We work with others. So other people will have thoughts, and then we take those thoughts, interpret them, we verify them, and then we finally get to programming. But how many of you are actually talking to customers directly? Probably not too many. And so a lot of times your customers will have thoughts, you talk to a product manager, and they will interpret those thoughts and create some form of like abstract documentation. Then you will work with them to interpret and provide technical limitations. They'll go back and review, they'll review with you again, and then finally you get to programming. So after all that, you're done, right? Maybe not. The user probably finds a bug, and then you have to repeat the whole process all over again. So as grim as that might have been, I truly believe software development is an amazing job because we get to work with people's imaginations and turn it into reality in a very fast manner. So what I feel is, as software engineers, we can take our training in like more scientific training to be analytical about the work that we do and what comes into that work. So here are some examples. Like I just went over how change management can make you feel slow, but what about like say code reviews or CI pipeline? And the biggest thing when you start thinking about this stuff is start small. We can't tackle everything. So focus on what you feel is giving you that slowness, and then try to quantify it. But don't only quantify what you think is causing you to feel slow. Also try to quantify what does slow mean to you. So here's an example where I use like tickets to try to quantify what slow means. But at the end of the day, who is hands on keyboard? You are. And so don't be afraid to raise concerns about the bottlenecks that you either see or feel. And so if you aren't sure about how to get started, I encourage you to talk to your peers, a senior engineer that's on your team, your manager, or myself on Slack. I'm always happy to talk about this kind of stuff. But just know that as a team, in your engineering team, you have a collective voice. So if all of you are feeling that it's slow to do your development, speak up and let your manager and other people in the company know. So that is my talk. So thank you. Feel free to connect to me on LinkedIn if you want to talk more about this stuff.
Cool. So hi, I decided to do a talk this time. It's all exciting. Are you good? Sweet. Hi, I'm Joe Duncko, as I said like 5 minutes ago, and I'm going to be talking about elegant React state with TanStack Query. So, quick little bit about me. I'm an engineering manager at BlastPoint, a startup out of Pittsburgh. I'm an entrepreneur in residence at the Youngstown Business Incubator, and I'm also a co-organizer of Code Youngstown. Thank you all for being here. So React sucks at managing server state. It's one of the things that it's actually really bad at by itself out of the box. Besides forms, it's also really bad at forms, but this talk isn't about that. Some of the things it specifically sucks at with managing server state, you have to manually manage loading and error states. There's lots of boilerplate around it. Code reuse across components is kind of painful when you're working with the server. And response reuse across components requires basically pulling in another library of some sort. So by default, especially when you're getting started with React, while it can be really easy to initially load something from the server, doing it in a way that's scalable and you can use across components can be really painful. Enter TanStack Query, powerful asynchronous state management for TS, JS, React, Solid, Vue, and Svelte. TanStack Query is part of Tanner Lindsay's TanStack. You don't have to use any other part of the stack. It's kind of a collection of libraries to make React easier. It has a simple yet really powerful API. It's easy to make reusable hooks per endpoint that you can use in all your components. It automatically caches API calls for reuse. So if you have two components that actually need the same data, it'll automatically grab that data from the cache and use it, as opposed to doing two separate calls to the server. And in my opinion, it is super React-y. I think the API for Redux, or excuse me, I guess for Redux and other solutions to this problem are less React. Kind of like the idea of people finding things Pythonic, like what you would do in Python. I think that TanStack's React Query solution to this is really React-y. So let's look at some code really quick here. I'm gonna do one of these. Okay, so I have a really standard component here that I call a card list. This is going to be a little difficult for everyone to see. I'm going to pull that up. And cool. So I have a component here that I call a card list. And this is like the standard way you would do this across React, just when you're first getting started here. Let's say I want to get a list of, I'm using the Digimon card API because I've been into the Digimon card game lately for some reason. I want to get a list of Digimon cards from the internet. So what I do is I create a state to store them. That's really standard. I then create a use effect to have an effect, because I'm grabbing something from the server that is an effect, so I'm going to wrap it in use effect. I'm going to create a function called fetch cards, because I need to be asynchronous, and effects functions can't be asynchronous. I added a little promise here, so there's a noticeable delay of 3 seconds. You don't usually need to do that. I fetch the URL here. I do the convert the response to JSON, because that's what you need to do. And then I set the data here. So all of this gives you basically the result of the cards you want. You check whether or not the cards are missing length and show loading. Otherwise, you can just map through all the cards you received and display the HTML. And that ends up looking like this. So we have this list of cards. So if I refresh, it shows loading. And there's the list of cards. So this is how you do it, like the most basic way you would display a list of items, or get a list of items from a server and display them in React. However, this starts getting weird when you start trying to, for example, handle different cases. So for example, an error case. So I added this little error case here. And then, okay, so where do you store the fact that that has an error? Well, I guess I'll create another state. And then you can kind of imagine that this can proliferate really quickly. What about if the asynchronous call hasn't been made yet? Okay, I guess that's another state. What if I want a function for triggering the call, like asynchronously, like when something else happens? Well, that's another function. So this can start growing and become a whole ordeal. which is why I prefer pulling in a library to deal with RESTful calls. My solution is to grab import useQuery from React Query, and how you use it is you give it two things. You give it a query key, which is, if you're familiar with the concept of cache keys. So the idea is you need to give it a unique identifier in the cache so that the React Query knows that, hey, this key aligns with this other, the data you're grabbing. And then you have the query function, which we had earlier, and then you can handle the loading and error because React Query exposes that. So you could take this further here and actually take this to move that into its own component. So I created this use cards component, which just wraps the use query. Get cards, which is just what wraps the query itself, which we saw earlier. And then it makes it so every time you use the component, it's just this really short call here. So you can reuse use cards, you can pass it a search, you can pass it whatever you want, and you can reuse it across components. And I am at time.
So my talk is time-saving hacks, how you can maximize your efficiency as a developer with Git and the command line. Is this going to work? No, it's not. So today I want to talk about Git, a few tools that I use, Git, grep, find, awk, and how you can combine these all together. So the first one is Git work trees. Raise your hand if you've heard of Git work trees. I've met very few people that have. Okay, so one of the things that Git work trees do is they allow you to have multiple branches checked out at once. So why would you want to use this? Imagine that you're debugging an issue on one branch, but you need to quickly switch to another branch for a fix or verification. Instead of stashing or committing your changes, just use a Git work tree. You could do this with Git work tree add and then the path to the work tree and then the branch name. And the other tool is Git reflog. So what is Git reflog? Git reflog is a mechanism to track every single action in Git, even if it's lost or deleted. Why would you want to use Git reflog? Well, ever lost a commit or messed up a rebase? I have. Reflog to the rescue. Git reflog will show you a list of actions to recover a Git commit, and you can use this by use this to get the commit hash by doing git checkout and then the commit hash name. The third tool is Git bisect. So, what is Git bisect? It is a binary search tool that you can use to help you find the commit that introduced a bug. Why would you need to use this? Well, instead of manually searching or debugging with the debugger, let Git help you pinpoint the exact commit when the bug was introduced. Start with Git bisect start, mark a good commit with Git bisect good with the commit hash, and a bad one with git commit or Git bisect bad, and then the commit hash. Git will guide you to the culprit. Another tool is grep. I think everybody here knows what grep is. It's a tool used to search for patterns within files. Why would you need to use it? Well, you need to find where a certain function or a variable is used in your commit history, for example. How would you use this? Use grep-r to recursively search for a search term in your project directory. The third tool is find. So what is find? Find is a command that you can use to locate files on your system based on a given criteria. Searching for a file or filtering files by modification time or date or type. An example I gave here, find dot, and then the name, and then the file name itself with the extension to search the current directory, or find -mtime-7 to find files modified in the last 7 days. The last command is awk. So what is awk? Awk is a programming language primarily used for pattern scanning and processing. Why would you need to use this? It's perfect for data extraction and reporting. How would you use this? To print the second column of a space-separated file using awk, and then print to file name. So let's give a simple example combining these. Often the magic happens when you combine these tools. For instance, let's consider this scenario. You want to find all the log files modified in the past 2 days with the word error and print the third column. You can use this command I have here where we're combining find to recursively search the file names or the files modified. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Okay. No, how do I go back? Oh. Okay.
Only go forward. Try punching it?
Oh, I got it. Okay, so what does this command do? So let's break this down. The first part, it locates all the log files modified within the last days using the find command. The second part uses a grep to search for the term error within those files. And the final part pipes those results to the awk command, which processes the outputs and prints the third column. So how can you use this in your day-to-day as a developer? Imagine you were working on a project at work. You remember making changes to a function, let's say it's called calculate total a few days ago, but it seems to have disappeared or been altered in the latest version of your branch. The question is, what commit broke or changed it? Combining these tools into a SQL workflow, you can use this command here, a combination of get log, sort, and unique, I'm not going to cover those, and grep. And this will give you the file where calculate total existed in the Git history. So, what do you do next? You go to the new work tree to avoid disrupting the current branch. Then, you use git reflog and get grep calculate total to find that branch that had the function on it. And then you can use git bisect to determine when the function was altered by using git bisect start, so on and so forth. Repeat this process by combining all three of these with grep and awk. Oh, I'm not going to be able to finish it.
Jeremy Forsythe, Sensource down the road. My talk's about generative AI. So if you don't know about AI image generation, Stable Diffusion is an open source one you guys can try out for free. What is it? So there's a few different parts. There's a text encoder that takes the prompt that you give it, turns it into data. Then you turn that into an array of pixels and then turn it into an image on the other side. The main parts are a UNet, which is called that because when you draw it out, diagram, it looks like a U, and then an image decoder. So let's actually look at it. So this, you want to run this on good hardware, but it does run on Apple Silicon, as you can see here. That's better. Okay. So we can put in the top here our positive prompt, in the bottom a negative prompt. These are things called textual embeddings, which are extensions to the UNet. And we pick a checkpoint, which it takes the Stable Diffusion base checkpoint, and we've trained a bunch of other images on top of it. And a bunch of different options, but in general, you just type what you want in here, hit generate. And in a second, we're going to get an image. While we're waiting on that, there's a website called Civet AI. Here you can get a bunch of different models, a bunch of extensions that you can make different kinds of images. So this is a full checkpoint trained on dreamlike images. We have a synthwave punk, croissant style, which is pretty cool. Turn anything into croissants. Paper cut, so these are images that look like they were made out of paper. And mechanical parts, there's all kinds of stuff. Make sure if you're at work you turn on the safe for work filters because it's pretty bad. The image should be done. Okay, so here we have an overhead view of a city. We get a seed number with this. If we run it the same way with the same seed number, it's going to be the same image. We can randomize that. Get a new image of a city. There's lots of, like I said, extensions for this. Things called textual inversions, which work in the text space, change the words that are coming in. And then there's LoRa's, Lohan, and a bunch of other things that work on the image part. Some of the other interesting things that have come out lately is ControlNet, which helps control the noise before the image gets generated. So if we turn on, if we enable ControlNet, we'll drop an image on here. And we're going to use line art to process this and get a preview. Just going to get the lines from around this and then use this to inform the image that we're going to generate. How long do we have? All right, while that's generating, there's a lot of other cool extensions you can get for this. If you need links, hit me up in Slack if you want more information about this. It's really cool, and there's a lot to go through. So you can kind of see this is helping the noise as it generates this image, and they're going to get some of that. We've seen a lot of these images lately with the cats with the words in it. This is how it's done. I did one with the Code Youngstown logo and sent it out a little while ago. So it's kind of cool. There's video generation, GIF to GIF conversion. You can in-paint faces. There's all kinds of stuff in this space, and it's getting much better. This is all 512 by 512. The new stuff coming out is 1024 by 1024. There's a lot of AI upscaling you can do to make massive images from nothing. So, yeah. I guess that's it. If anyone has any questions, come find me or hit me up on Slack. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, I am Nicholas Serra. It's nice to meet you all. I am absolutely burnt out on code. I don't want to talk about code, so we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about videotapes. Is anybody interested in videotapes? Okay, so I always have people ask me, Nick, what the hell are you doing with all those videotapes? And the answer is that I run several different communities where all we do is hunt down boomers that brought video cameras to Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkin shows and recorded them onto hi-8 tapes, and then we basically beg and plead and hassle them to send those tapes to us so that we can give it a professional transfer and actually digitize all that stuff before it turns to dust, because it's turning to dust. Yeah, that's me. So I'm drowning in tapes. That's my talk name. It's called Drowning in Tapes. Because often I'm transferring probably maybe 1,000 tapes a year, maybe a little bit more. There's just tapes constantly in and out of my house. It's turned into an absolute nightmare that's consumed my life. So with that, I have learned a couple things about digitizing tapes, and I figured I would let you know some of those things. Now here's the kicker. Just like our bodies and our souls and our minds, our tapes are also decaying rapidly. So we're going to lose them soon, and they're going to turn to dust. A lot of people say your average magnetic tape, like a VHS or a hi-8 tape, might have 30 years, 40 years until that stuff is just literally crumbles to dust and you can't do anything with it anymore. So my plea to you is, if you do have tapes that are important to you, whether it be that old Nirvana gig or you in the bathtub when you were 3 years old, you should probably kind of soon find somebody that's able to actually transfer these in any way, shape, or form. So definitely do that. This is essentially a high 8 tape that someone kept in like an attic that was cold for years and years and years, and as soon as you play it, it snaps, and then you have to unwind it with the drill and splice everything and hook it all back together, and maybe you'll get one time where you can actually play it, get some of the footage off before it breaks again. So that's what that looks like. Let's talk about some common formats. VHS, VHS-C, 8mm in height. This is probably what you have in your closet, your parents videotaped you, whatever the hell that is. So proper transfer for analog tapes. VHS, VHS-C actually do the same thing. You pop those in a VCR. Those little VHS-C tapes, you ever see the bigger tapes where you put the VHS-C into the bigger tape and then you put that in your VCR? Essentially, that's the right way to do it. So you pop that in a VCR. Same with 8mm. These are analog tapes. And the easy way to do that, well, it's not easy. It's actually totally time-consuming and takes your whole life over, is to get something like a capture card. Blackmagic makes them, ATI makes them. Some of the older ones are what you're supposed to do. And you essentially USB hook your VCR up to one of these things, go into virtual dub, OBS, you hit record, and now you have a digital file, essentially. So you have these kind of things. You have these old FireWire boxes. Anybody remember FireWire? FireWire was the shit. And actually, for transferring tapes, it's one of the better things to do. If you find one of these FireWire boxes, FireWire is way more stable than your average USB connection. So you'll get less dropped frames. You hook it into Adobe Premiere or something like that. You can hit export. You can save grandma's old footage. Your whole family's going to love you. It's going to be fantastic. So these are a gem. This is actually a Sony High 8 camcorder. Now, they made these for a few years that they actually have them where you can play old 8mm tapes, like High 8, that kind of stuff. It'll actually play new 8mm tapes, the digital 8 tapes, the ones that are actually digital on your camera. I'll talk about that in a second. And they'll let you do a pass-through. So if you have 8mm tapes, High 8 tapes, and a bunch of other stuff, if you pick up one of these, you can use it as an actual pass-through to your computer, hook your VCR into it, and it'll export FireWire out. And you can just hit record on your computer, save all your memories. Fantastic, right? So there is another generation. So there's digital 8 tapes, which are basically 8mm, but they write ones and zeros to the tape. Sounds awesome. It really didn't work out that well, but we'll talk about that. And there's mini DV tapes. My generation, well, I say my generation, I'm 35, I shot a ton of mini DV tapes. So the good thing is they're small, they're easy, the cameras were awesome. The bad thing is, like, sometimes the next day you go to play it and it would already be messed up and screwed up. If you recorded it in LP mode, God help you, we'll talk about that. So with these, your digital 8 tapes, your mini DV tapes, you really need to find a camcorder, find a deck. This is a TRV-38. I had one of these growing up. It was awesome. I recorded most of my tapes on it. Your best bet, if you have a digital tape, is find the camcorder you recorded it on, and then use that one to transfer it, or you're probably going to be screwed. You can also go buy one of these big-ass Sony decks. These things are awesome. They're like my workhorse. I think I transferred 700 tapes with one of these things last year, and by one of these things, I actually mean something like 10 that I have up in my attic. So they break all the time. Like, I'll go transfer a whole bunch of mini DV tapes. Those are, I think I have 10 of them over on the left. This is a little corner of my attic. There's a lot more. It's, like I said, consuming my life. You go to pop a tape in one of these, you'll play 100 tapes. It's awesome. You transfer everything. You go wake up the next day to do it, and like 6 of them don't work anymore. So you just keep buying every one you see that's cheap, and you just swap parts around. It's fantastic. I'm not, it's just consumed your life. 1 minute, all right. LP mode, if you recorded your mini DV tapes in LP mode, you're kind of screwed. I mean, you pop them in, they're already gone. They're already just stuff flying everywhere, digital artifacts, it sucks. Don't throw your tapes away once you have somebody transfer them. I know you kind of want to, but the problem is you go to hand grandma a flash drive full of giant AVI files for her to play on our TV, she's probably going to lose it, let's be honest. Or that flash drive's going to break in like 3 days. Unless you're a data hoarder like me and you have giant unraid racks in your basement, you're probably going to lose those files. So backups, 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 keep your tapes. And because of that too, there is some code. So new ideas of transferring these things come out all the time. One of them is this awesome project called VHS Decode. This is actually a bunch of Python code, and it's open source, and essentially what they did is with Python, let me find a new tab here, they use this thing called a Domesday duplicator, and they attach this rig right to the RF channels on your VCR. It's hard to see, but they hook it right up to the head, and they bypass all the video signals. So that's something in the future.
You're in time.
Or just use Python, write your own tools. It's cool. Just write code. It's great. Code's great. All right. Thanks so much. All right. Sorry about that. So
I'm Mike Walker, at Michael Walker on Code Youngstown Slack. I'm a senior software engineer at Baxter Healthcare. Talk is designing your code for testability, moving towards clean code. So, get a lot of questions because I taught, and actually some of my former students are here. I taught at YSU, object-oriented programming, things like that. And I get asked, how do you design code for testability? And so, at least in Android and a lot of other languages, you use dependency injection. Well, I personally, along with some other people in the field, feel that dependency injection is nice, but it pollutes your build system, and that has some negative side effects. So you at least want to design your code for testability before you move to dependency injection and things like that. So that's what this discussion is about. You don't have to use dependency injection. I prefer inversion of control. But regardless, these practices, the things I'm going to show you, are going to help you get your code in a state where it is more testable. So, who here uses Java? Okay. Who here uses Kotlin? Okay. C++, C#, PHP. Okay. So a lot of languages, basically all but Java that I just listed, have parameter defaults, and when you have those available, you want to use them. I'll show you why. It makes testing very nice. If you don't, you end up wanting to use the builder pattern instead of accessing constructors directly. That's a little bit more hassle, but it enables you to design testing much more cleanly than you can in other cases, without using dependency injection frameworks and things like that. I have a repository here. It's sort of not the absolute newest Android application, but many of the best practices moving forward. So sort of a middle ground for code if you're trying to modernize your application. There. So, here is what you ideally want to move towards. A well-crafted, well-designed unit test. So I'm testing, you don't need to know the specifics of Android, how this works or anything like this, but you should be able to look at the code. Yeah, let me increase the font size. How's that? Is that better? Okay. So, you want your test to be human readable as much as possible. And the way you achieve this is through, in this case we're using mocking, but we are injecting the fragment repository here into the view model, and then we're testing the view model here on a button press. We're asserting what the text should be before and after the button press. I mean, this is as basic as a unit test can get, and I'll show you why this is how you get to this point. So, where am I? Here's an example with the builder. This is if you are using Java or another language without parameter defaults. As you can see, there's a lot of code here. If you don't know the builder pattern, it's one of the gang of 4 patterns for software design patterns. I would learn that, and it is a bit of a hassle to use, but is really nice because it abstracts away having a large, when you have a class with a lot of parameters for constructors. So if you have a class with let's say up to 10, 15, 20 parameters for a constructor, you want to use the builder pattern and make it so that the order of those parameters don't matter. You can have parameter defaults, things like that that you can't easily do in a language like Java. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, anyways, I have a minute left. So, the idea is you don't, here's a simple example where you have a constructor with a parameter and a constructor without. For simple classes, you can do that, but like I said, if you have a class with 10, 15, 20 parameters, so that sounds like a lot, but when you're doing UI or you're having, you're making UI frameworks, I should say, having a box with rounded corners, what color the corner, the shades are, what color the gradient on the background is. Lots of things like that. You can get very complicated constructors. You end up, the builder becomes nicer. But if you have a modern language like Kotlin or older languages like C++ that enable parameter defaults, actually here, I realized what I wanted to show. You can just delete this is still valid code because it's using a different parameter constructor. So, that doesn't make sense in this use case, but there we go. There's the code if anybody wants.
Thank you. You want to grab your
Yeah, I was just
machine?
going to leave it up.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you all for making that go smoothly. When you have a lot of speakers, sometimes like having tech issues between them and all those kind of things can make it extremely painful. So first and foremost, we have a hand for all of our speakers. Thank you all for volunteering. I typically try to like bully some people into like going outside their comfort zone for these talks, but this year I was really busy and wasn't able to properly bully people outside their comfort zone. So thank you to everyone who spoke for volunteering and not making me pull teeth. Next year, however, lightning talks are an awesome opportunity to get outside your comfort zone, try to do a talk that's really short, really tight. So if you came to this event and you've never given a talk before and you're like, you know what, I could do that, please volunteer next year. I also know that I think that Ohio is remote this year and it's all lightning talks, I think between 5 and 15 minutes. So if you want to give a remote lightning talk, I think there's a link somewhere in Slack on to present at the virtual Pi Ohio in December. So that's another lightning talk opportunity between now and then. Again, if you liked what you saw and you want to be a part of making Code Youngstown function, first, like all of our pages, join Slack, participate in conversations. It really helps liven our community, brings people together. If you have a space that you want to bring Code Youngstown to, please let us know. We're always looking for new, interesting places to host events at. We've done all kinds of places, mostly local tech companies. We've done the YBI, we've done SenSource, we've done all kinds of places, and we'd love to, travel a little bit more. That being said, thank you so much to Westside Bowl for having us. We really appreciate them letting us take their awesome stage and have our event here. Could we have a round of applause for the Westside Bowl? Awesome, thank you all. Again, tip your bartenders. If you, outside of space, we're looking for speakers. Let us know if you're interested in that. We're looking for, if you're interested in starting your own meetups, or maybe you have an interest in like a specific slice of programming and you think there's enough interest, we are happy to throw everything we can behind your Ruby group, your Python group, your whatever you're interested in group. Just let us know and we'll do our best to support you. Mike, getting anything, Nick?
Stick around, we're gonna put some tunes on, there's more pizza coming out, or there at least there's some pizza up there, grab a drink. We usually just hang out afterwards, socialize, meet up with some people that you don't know, maybe chat about code, software, whatever you're looking to get into. Ask some of our presenters questions. We didn't have time for Q&A, we just sort of boot everybody off the stage as soon as possible. So definitely hit them up if you have any questions about that stuff. We're gonna hang out, put tunes on. I think Basement Bangers is up here a little after 8 or something for a DJ and stuff like that, or we'll be hanging out at the bar. So stick around, talk to us. If you don't know anybody, come talk to us. And thank you so much. We're cooking something up for December, and I think we have some speakers lined up for next year also. So keep an eye out, find us on Slack, chat with us here. Thank you so much for coming.